Welcome to the Counteract YouTube channel. Thank you for joining us for this short video tutorial.
Good afternoon. Welcome to this webinar on customer terms. I've got Felicity with me, who's going to do most of the talking. Say hello, Felicity.
Hello.
And Robin's here as well, who won't be doing much talking.
Hello.
So, usual drill, probably about 35 minutes. We've got quite a lot to cover this afternoon, actually, so we'll try and get through it all. As normal, we will record it all and pop it on the YouTube video channel afterwards. So we'll crack on.
Jolly good. Okay, customer terms, special prices for customers, so that you can set them up and they will automatically get the price you've decided they should have. First of all, I'm just going to pop into history here and go to Admin customer details and show you where the customer terms are actually defined for a customer. Here we have a tab called terms, and every account when you add it defaults to the terms account that matches the number of the account. It's a field that you can enter, so you can put any other account in there. And we also have what's called two-level terms, where you can apply a general terms account to an account. So we could have a general landscaping account. Oh, excellent.
Off to a flyer.
Yes, that's right. I'm sure I've added an account. General terms for landscaping. So if this is a new customer, I can just very quickly apply some terms to them where you can keep generic terms, so they might be getting a good deal on the sort of things a landscaper would purchase. Meanwhile, if there was anything special above that I wanted them to have, then I would apply customer terms, which I'm going to be showing you, specifically to their account. The system has a sequence that it follows to reach decision. So, for instance, you may have a group, a product group identified in here with a term on it, but within here there might be some products within that group. So it will look upon a product as a higher priority than the general group. So it would take notice of the product above that. There's a very useful customer terms quick reference guide, which you can see in the help, which has a section, a little paragraph on it called Reaching a Decision, which should clarify how it the sort of algorithm that it uses to decide what it's going to offer as the price. Another thing that you can do if you have a one-off project that you're doing for a customer, and so you've got a specific delivery point, you can, I've got a delivery point here for Monmouth, and if I go to this tab, terms here, I've got the ability to put in an overriding terms account. So that's an overriding account for the customer level, but it will still have the general terms applied. As I've got general terms on this account, it'll still have those, but instead of the DOW001, it'll take notice of this XXX002 account. And that's just set up there. So
you can have terms against a location for a customer. You can have general terms and you can have specific terms as well.
Correct. And these, just to mention these general terms, oh
dear.
What have I?
There we go.
Oh,
shut that down. Shut the dashboard down.
Great. I just wanted to show you in the admin customer details the general terms account, that either the landscaping one or the one for the delivery location, if they're not going to be an actual credit account or non-credit account, they need to be set as non-sale. So it's just a status as opposed to a normal account or non-credit account. So then if you've got a non-sale account, you won't see it when you search for customers, you won't see it on credit control reports, but you will be able to add customer terms to it. Right, okay, on to the customer terms menu, which is on newer systems within the price book menu. And we're going to go into add, amend customer terms. And I'm going to bring up my account here. So we're going to go through all these different tabs. Here we are on the main level. This field here means that you can actually say, right, for this customer, I want to give them a trade C price. All customers naturally, without any terms at all, get your trade A prices because they're a customer, an account customer. So that's an account customer price. However, if you want to give them something better and you've got lots of trade C prices set up, you can put C there. And if there is a C for a product, it'll use it. If there isn't, it'll just go back to the most recent price, back to A. R, if you haven't even got a trade A. So that allows you to have a default over everything that sort of picks up anything you haven't got defined at a lower level. You've got the ability, it's an optional thing, to set terms to expire at this overall level or also at individual group and product level. That's all covered in a control file that we're going to go and look at after we've gone through here, so I'll explain that a bit more. The same for exclude from auto deletion. The default is that you don't have auto deletions set on, but it's switched on. If you do have it switched on, you can have certain accounts set so that they're excluded from the auto deletion. And the deletion depends on, can be set by expiry date or by last used date. But again, we'll think about that a bit more when we get to the control file. Net pricing is, we've got this ticked. So what it means is that whenever anything's printed out, any invoices for that customer, it will only give the net price. It won't give any discounts. If you want them to see the discounts that they're getting, then you untick that. And give best terms really is ticked generally so that whatever prices the system goes round and looks for a product, it would give the best terms available to the customer. But the point of that is that actually there might be times when you give a price to a customer and you don't want them to get a better price. So if you untick that, then it makes sure that they don't pay anything other than the price you've identified in customer terms. Here, if you use this, it only comes into play if you use regional pricing, and so you have some separate prices for different branches for some of your products. On the whole, terms would be just set to company prices, and the rather subtle distinction between local and region prices here, I think probably rather than trying to explain it in detail here when there's a lot more to say about customer terms, if you go and find a quick reference guide that is called Regional Prices, there's a paragraph there called Customer Terms, and that clearly explains how the local and region buttons can be used. There, you'll notice as we go through this that they're available at overall terms level and also by group and by product, because you might want to have some prices for a region and some, for individual products. It's an interesting science. Right, moving on to groups. So this is your product groups. And can be just one product group, the first digit, your major group, or it can be your minor group or your full product group, as you can see here, different levels. And you can set them up with different terms, which are all listed here. I don't think you'd normally have such an interesting selection as we have here, but this is really our demo system and shows you all the different ways in which you can set the terms up. So here's where you would do one. I'm sitting on heavy side. If I move to joinery here, it's now got all the joinery information at the bottom here. For all these, for products as well, you have the ability to have different prices for whether the customer's collecting the goods or they're being delivered. And also if you used pack or pack delivered, that's also there. It defaults to any sort of sale. So if you did have collected and delivered, you'd need 2 entries. So you'd have 1 entry for delivered joinery, 1 entry for collected joinery. There's your local and region again, and here's your exclude from auto deletion at group level. So you can have something being deleted generally, but you can exclude specific groups, products. Here's the terms, which can be based on any price code and up to 3%. So you can put K plus, list less, just a straightforward, whatever. It always tells you on here when the terms were last used, if they've been set up for a while. Breaks is all about giving extra special prices for quantity breaks. If I tick that, a little arrow suddenly appears, and if I hover over that arrow, it instantly goes and lets you put up to 4 extra deals for quantity breaks. Now, when you put those in for something like joinery, those will only apply if there are quantity breaks already on the product. So the actual number, 10, 100, whatever, comes from the normal price book product information. This is just an ability to give an extra quantity break to a customer. I shall untick that. Claim back is all to do with if you have a contract set up between yourselves and a supplier to supply goods to a customer who from that supplier gets a much better rate than you do, really, and so that you will keep a record by ticking claim back of what you are selling them. You can obviously put the extra special price that they're going to have under that product or group. And it also means that the margin checking is excluded.
And to flag, isn't it? So you can have reports. Can't you see?
That's
you can
right.
view
Well,
report.
yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Because you just tick that, it then lets you see. There's a claim back report on the sales ledger that you can just go and run for the month for the accounts that apply. And claim back really goes hand in hand, although it's not mandatory to have the claim back ticked if you've got this cover gross margin percentage box here. You won't see this unless the control file is set. We'll be seeing the control file in a minute. So this might look new to you, but it has been around for a while. It basically means that you can say what cost percentage you want to appear when you sell any of these items, or if it's at the product level, any of the individual items. So if you put 15% there, then every sale you do in sales analysis, daily sale breakdowns, places where you see margins, it will show that 15% rather than the actual margin, which might be quite low. And it allows you to take into account the money that you're getting back for those products. So it's a more realistic margin.
Yeah.
But obviously you're buying the goods in at more when you actually have them on the purchase order. So the FIFO price is much higher than the price you will eventually pay. So you can just sort of hide things. You do need to know what you're doing with this and be aware of it and not overuse it, I reckon, because it will sort of hide the real situation. And it also can't be used if you have true cost of sales nominal postings. So that's that. Obviously, when you want to, you've made some changes, you have to click this update. And if you want to just go away from what you did, you can just click on discard. Something that is possibly slightly hidden, but is incredibly useful. Oh, no, it doesn't come into play until I'm on the next screen. Right. Categories. Not everyone uses categories. If you do, they're just much like if you use categories, you'll know about them. You can do customer terms by them. It's virtually all you can do with a category, and there it is. And everything applies exactly the same as a group. Products, you may have lots and lots of products. One thing that we've added fairly recently is the ability to sort of search for a specific product in the list. So if you click on that, that then gives you the product search, which is useful, but actually not that obvious if you're not aware that it's there. So here we are. I've got my list of products. I can sort by the some of these columns if I wish. Down here, I've got all the usual stuff. I've got exclude from auto deletion. I've got collected, delivered, regional options. And here now I've got the terms. So you've also got the ability to put in terms exactly as you can for all the other options. The other thing that you can do here is you can actually, if you're setting this up from new, you can just type in the amount that you want to sell it at. So I can put my price I want it to be, and the system will, in our case, change that to be a retail plus. So I know that that's the price, retail plus. And of course, as soon as you've got all these things related to something on the price book, when the price book changes, these prices will change as well. The terms can be set to default to K plus as well. If you'd rather have all your terms to be K, price book cost plus a percentage, then that's a setting. We've got ours set to retail. Retail plus in that case would normally probably be more like retail less, wouldn't it? Really,
more likely.
I think. You know.
Not
So
very
I think
good term there, is it?
exactly.
No.
That's better. Look.
Yeah.
And it tells me what my gross margin is here. I've got the ability to have an expiry date. We've got our system set to default to an expiry date.
A year.
Oh, a year. Yes, that's right. Yes, a year in advance. And I can say update there. So I think that's all about the actual information about products. I think the next thing we shall do, as I've talked about them, is go to the control file. And I have that on the other screen. Close at hand in point of sale control files, I've got customer terms options. Right. So here I've got at the top number of months before the terms expire. If you've got a 0 in there, then an expiry date won't be set automatically. But here we've got ours set to 12 months, which was what we just saw just now. Customer terms expiry date option, you can in fact just have it set for the overall expiry date if you wish, and even then you don't have to enter anything. We've got ours set to go down to the other levels. And now this bit of the screen refers to all the auto deletion facilities. So it's very definitely optional, and here is where you identify whether if you are going to have the auto deletions, they take place based on the last used date for the product, for the group, for the whole terms, or for the expiry date having gone past. Ours is set for the last use date. But
would that be the most
but in
common,
fact-
you think, Felicity? Would more people
I
have
think it would be,
Yeah.
really. I think it would be.
It would kind of make sense, wouldn't it? If you
Yeah.
say, give somebody a set of terms and they don't use it for a year.
Then what's the point? Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
take away the privilege.
Yeah.
Number of months before unused terms are deleted can be set here. Ours is set so things aren't ever deleted because they would all be missing when we went for anything, as we don't have many sales going on our demo system. And then finally, this is when the actual program is run to delete the terms. So the 0, which is if you've got it set to delete, and we put the program in the overnights, that's also a very important thing. If you have that set to 0, it could run every day. Alternatively, it could be, we could set the program up just to run on, say, a Wednesday, and that's when it would run, and a report saying what had been deleted would be provided. Alternatively, you can have the program running just at the month end. And just moving, that's the main control files I wanted to talk about, but just looking at these other two screens. Oh, the terms calculation. This is where, in fact, not only can you have it automatically going to K plus, retail minus, but also list minus. And you can also, one thing I didn't talk about, of course, we showed lots of products with terms. You can also just put in a net price against customer terms, which means that it obviously won't go up with prices, but often that is what you want to do. You have agreed with the customer for a whole year, that's what his price is, so you need to put that net price in, and any mucking around you do with prices has to not affect him. And there are reports of all sorts to show you where you've got net terms if that's an issue. But you can actually block the entry of net price product terms, some people want. And you can also have the default for give best terms set to no. And this is where the little control file is for switching on the gross profit cover percentage. Then another thing we're going to look at is there are various options. We're not going to go into enormous detail on the copying quotations to customer terms. There are some options for that, but I think the standard defaults are what people most want, and I think those are all a bit sort of specialised, those other options. Right, okay, back to the graphical, and talking about amending group amendments, you have got the option to do group amendments where you can choose your group terms, category terms, product terms. You could choose a product, and if you choose the product, it will then give you a list of accounts that appear on it. It'll plod you through so you can make the changes as you go. But really these days, as I was just saying, this extract, load and update terms is very useful. It's got a very useful help screen, which is worth reading if you're going to embark upon this. And it first allows you to extract what it is that you want to update. So extract report type. You may want to do a full extract for each account, or when you've chosen full extract for each account, you could then narrow it down for the account that you're interested in. For instance, and I can then just say OK. And my spreadsheet down here has given me, in the format that I need for loading back in, the account number, the name, and it says whether it's the default terms, category, group, product. These terms 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, the 1 is really the main one. The 2, 3, 4 and 5 are those quantity break ones. So generally, I presume you'll be really ignoring those. So here we have. And so you can change these to net prices, because you have actually got the net price over on the far side here. Or you've got claim back, expiry dates you can change. So you've got all those fields. and you can make changes and then save it as a CSV file and load them back in. Use this same program to load update when it will ask you to find the file. And you've got further choices here where you can, the net price ones, you can actually have them to convert them. So you can actually use this to put net prices in and then convert them to R- or K+.
And is that I mean, that seems a lot more flexible in a lot of ways than just doing it on the screen in terms
Definitely,
of updating.
far more flexible. And the wonderful thing about this is that one of the things you can't do with customer terms is have a future customer terms, as you can on the price book. But with this, you can extract, a couple of weeks before any prices go up, make all your changes, and then you could do, I reduced this to just a spreadsheet with one account on it. You could put all your accounts on there, make all your updates, and then you're ready on the day that the changes are required to load them in. I think some people do that, January.
Would you say some people perhaps extract it, save it, and then save another copy as the changes, just in case?
I expect so, yes. That's right.
Might be an idea.
Probably do, yes, yeah. That's right. Indeed.
Okay. Good.
You can sort of set the expiry using the rules on the control file. Right, so that's that wonderful thing. And as I said, copy customer terms from a quote is great. You can choose a quotation for any customer you like, and go for this Cuprinol one. And now you get the chance, you don't have to have the same quotation, a quotation for the actual customer. I expect that would be normal, but you can in fact copy a quotation from another customer into terms. So you can choose a selected account there, you see, or just say, right, no, I want it to default to the quote account. You've got the opportunity to replace any existing quotes with the quoted one, or to ignore it if it's already on the customer terms, and whether you want it to use the quoted type of sale. So that's where, do you want it to say collected or delivered?
Right.
Or do you want it just to be a generic. Or, customer terms for everything? So if on your quote you've got collected and delivered prices for products, then you can sort of copy that down onto your customer terms. You can set your expiry date. Again, it defaults to whatever you've got set on your control file. And then prices, you can decide whether you have it exactly as you've got it on your quote, whether you want to convert what's on your quote into a net price, or whether you want to go to these K+, R-. And it's what you see here that was on the control file that you can limit, really, that I didn't go through in any detail. So that's absolutely great. And you've got the ability to delete. If you don't want to have the auto deletion, you can do group deletions here. So if you've suddenly got a group you don't really want to do, you can actually choose that group and just delete it from all your customers. I expect I'd play with that on a test system before doing it for real if I wasn't quite sure how it worked. And then finally, there's a separate screen with customer terms inquiries on it. And so you have got just display customer terms, which could be useful to give people who you don't want to be able to amend. Although it is worth remembering that whenever you're in display customer details, one of the things you can drill down to is to look at their customer terms. So whenever you're looking at display customer details, you've got customer terms display. You can do a customer terms report, and either to Excel or a report, and you've got different report types, masses of different report types. You could do not used since, so you can do a list for those. You can do all the claim back ones. product terms turnover. So the turnover that's been done on the terms that you've got expired, and a report for the customer, which means that it will not show any K plus details. It should just show all the prices that you've got on customer terms for that customer. Although I must say, if you're giving prices to the customer, I would always go for a quotation, and then do the quotation and copy it to the customer terms, because a quotation does tend to look better. Anyway, you've got all the different choices as usual here for that customer terms report. Selective terms report, where you can just choose again for specific terms. This one might be quite useful if you are using net prices, because you can just choose to do a list of, it's very, very straightforward, nothing fancy, and you just literally get a list of the customers and the products for which you've got a net price. And an amended terms report on a date. Yeah, so it literally just gives you a date range. And I think that's probably it.
Probably enough for today.
That's right.
I think as I say, the quick reference guide is well worth having a look at, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
If you're in the help, in the graphical help particularly,
where you've got your quick reference guide.
Reference right up there. Yeah.
And it's under pricing.
I see customer terms.
Customer terms, and there's one on the expiry dates as well.
Yeah.
So the customer terms, here we are, all the different features. It is a good.
Yeah. It's one of those things. There's a lot more to it than you think once you start going into it, isn't there?
Yes, that's right.
So,
there's quite a nice description of the delivery points and how that all works. And here's your reaching a decision, where it ranks the different what you've got.
You've got two sets of terms for one.
And this also, actually, what it says here on the customer terms one, regional pricing. That's probably as good to read as the other way around, that I said the customer terms bit of the regional pricing. This tells you much the same information.
Okay, yeah, that's great. Thank you very much, Felicity. Thanks for watching. We'll pop this up on the YouTube channel probably next week now, after Easter. And have a play on your test system perhaps, and if you've got any questions, then just give support a call or drop us an email.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, and hope to see you for the next one.
Thank you for watching this short tutorial. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact us on the information displayed on the screen for further assistance.